What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, talking today about Ratchet and Clank on PC because Rift Apart is finally ready to rip apart a couple good GPUs. Now, I want to talk about this because honestly, the last major Sony PC game we got was The Last of Us, and it was a complete dumpster fire. That port was completely broken, from bad frame rates to terrible textures to just straight up hard crashing. So I bought this because I do genuinely love Ratchet and Clank quite a bit. But additionally, this is the Power Pack combo. This is Insomniac Games, which is arguably the very best Sony first-party studio, and Nixxes. Sony purchased a special company just to port their games, so seeing them work together, I was curious to see how this would actually look, and quite frankly, it's freaking perfect. Now, all of this gameplay here is captured on my computer, which has an RTX 2080 Super and 32 gigs of RAM with a solid-state drive. My computer is pretty decent. It can't run the game on ultra settings, but even on mid-tier, wow, does this game look utterly glorious. I have to say, I'm actually just impressed by how good this game can still look, even though technically it came out in 2020, so these are like 3-year-old graphics, but even on like an individual detail level, going into stuff like photo mode and actually seeing the individual hairs on Ratchet's face, this game looks good as heck. And now obviously it has the chance to look even better if you've got a really fancy computer, like something that costs thousands of dollars. It seems like this really is one of those games that scales high, but I've also tested this pretty extensively on my Steam Deck, where obviously it doesn't look very good, but it runs pretty smooth. So we're going to take a look at both of those, but I wanted to start things off by discussing the strange controversy that's randomly popped up. When Ratchet and Clank was first about to come out back on the PlayStation 5, Sony kept saying it can only run on the PlayStation 5. It can't run on the PS4 hard drive because it needs that solid state. It needs to be able to instantly pull all these graphics and environments straight from the drive and put them into the game. A major aspect of Rift Apart is that you're going through these portals, so it's just having to instantly load entire dimensions, realities, and monsters. And now we know that this was true. John Lineman actually decided to get a PlayStation 4 hard drive, put it into his computer, and then run this game on minimum settings, and it straight up didn't work. I mean, it's completely busted. But somehow, people are still saying Sony lied. People are still saying that technically this game can run on a normal hard drive. So if you're playing this, a solid state is not required. If you have enough RAM, if you have enough raw power, you can brute force this game anyways. But I think it's kind of interesting that they managed to get this to run on a PlayStation 5, because let's face it, this could not have been a cross-gen title. Now, I have been a big fan of the idea of Sony games coming to PC. I'm not one of those weird console gatekeepers. Honestly, I love PlayStation exclusives. I love Last of Us and God of War and freaking Days Gone. So I'm really happy that these games are coming to PC so even more people can buy them and love them and enjoy these cool universes. So honestly, it's kind of great that Ratchet and Clank is here and running so well. But now let's take a look at some gameplay with this. So I did encounter one weird glitch at the very start of this, which is that I tried to play this with a really dinky, cheap, wired Xbox controller, and it didn't work very well. For some reason, it feels like there was some sort of like stickiness to the aiming that didn't quite work. Now, honestly, this is like a $10 controller, so it's probably a hardware issue and not the game itself, but since aiming was just so busted, I switched over to a PlayStation 5 controller, and this is so good. it really manages to replicate the PS5 experience. It's got haptic triggers, the aiming is just so fluid, even the controller speaker actually works, so it is definitely a very seamless experience. But additionally, if you haven't played Rift Apart, the game is fun as heck. It's a new Ratchet and Clank, it's got really good aiming, it's got tons of individual moving parts, so whenever you're smashing boxes and picking up bolts or talking to people in town or walking through a very crowded nightclub with blasting music, every individual object is rendered to be as beautiful as possible. Now, they did say that for some reason, there is not ray tracing support with AMD GPUs at launch. This only works on certain things. My system didn't seem to want to run the ray tracing in general. I think maybe my computer just isn't quite strong enough to run ray tracing, whereas obviously my PS5 can. But even still, I think this looks incredibly freaking good. It's very seamless. It seems like it's running at a solid 60 frames a second. I don't think I had any frame drops. I don't think I had any pop-in. This is just like my PlayStation 5 experience, if not even better. I'm kind of curious because I'm really very new to modding. I'm not very used to like installing additional fan mods and stuff like that. I'm curious to see what kind of mods people make for this, whether it ends up being custom hacks like being able to put in different character models. It'd be fun to play as like Kratos and Ratchet and Clank for no reason, or just different weird hacks where we can take different guns and hoverboards from the different games and just forcibly inject them into Ratchet and Clank. The modding scene is definitely going to have a field day because this game just looks so good. They can definitely do a lot with it. Now, I do want to say on Steam Deck, people are sort of debating the idea of Steam Deck verified because sometimes stuff is said, oh, this'll run, but it's a bit of a jank fest. Here, the game does run. The game is a solid like 720p and about 30 frames a second. This is using a Steam Deck dock, so obviously this is the direct raw gameplay that you would see, but on a tiny screen, it doesn't look so bad. I will say that after playing this on my like $1,000 computer monitor with my couple grand computer and seeing how good it looks, it was definitely jarring to see this running on my Steam Deck, but it's cool that it's possible. Obviously, one of my very favorite things about Steam as a like very recent PC gamer is the cloud saves being passed back and forth automatically. It is cool that I can actually play this game on my PC, on my big screen, and it looks great, and then it'll automatically transfer it to my Steam Deck, and I can just keep playing the same save file while I'm on the go, in an airport, in a car. That to me is very nice. I'm actually, one of the things I'm most excited about, just the idea of more PS5 games coming to PC, is I do want to have an ability to play these games on the go. I love playing Horizon and stuff while I'm actually going about town. And this game really does actually run great. Nixxes is just the kings of PC ports. I know that's specifically why Sony bought them, but I have to say that this is just a very impressive job they've done here. Now, this is just sort of an off-the-cuff thoughts because I'm impressed at how smooth this is. If you want a technical breakdown of different graphical bits, I think that stuff's going to be out in a couple days on channels like Digital Foundry. Right now, Sony, for some reason, didn't give out review codes, so everybody's kind of just playing this right off the cuff, but my initial impressions after a couple hours of play, I mean, I'm glad this is just on Steam. I'm glad that more people can enjoy it. Even if you haven't played the other Ratchet and Clank games, boot it up. If you're looking for something that I feel like captures the PS5 experience, give this a shot. I mean, heck, it's a great chance to battle Dr. Nefarious and jump through portals and shoot a lot of people. It controls great. It looks great. It is great. And I'm still just happy about that. It's taken a game that I gave a 10 out of 10 on PS5, and if anything, is just making it even better on PC. Hell yeah. But these have just been what I've been thinking about the game. How are you feeling about Ratchet and Clank? Give me your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a big old thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already, and please keep dreaming. Alright, man, Now we just got to get Horizon Forbidden West on PC, and then we're going to be cooking. Please, Nixus, Sony, put them in charge of all your PC ports, because this is perfect. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.